What is a good life? What is a thriving community? And what role can school play in helping us make those good lives and thriving communities happen? As we consider the future, what are the essential mindsets and skills that all learners will need across their lifespans in order to live and work in their neighborhoods, communities, and lives? This is the purpose of the Portrait of a Nevada Learner project, to build a shared vision for success and invite our statewide community to step into the conversation by stepping back to reflect on who we are and who we want to be. I'm Janine Collins, the Chief Innovation Officer with ed.Xtraordinary, and in partnership with the Nevada Department of Education, we are humbled and delighted to be facilitating conversations across Nevada in person and virtually now and over the next 7 months to build this North Star for the future of learning in our state.
Hello, I am Andy Lott, the Youth Innovation Manager for ed.Xtraordinary, and the purpose of this video is to share the questions we've been talking about with our community. On October 25th and 26th in 2022, the Nevada Department of Education hosted a convening in Las Vegas with nearly 200 community members from across the state who gathered to learn, discuss, and reflect on what we want when we think about the future of learning. Today, we are joined by our colleague and friend, Mike Lang, the Chief Innovation Program Officer at ed.Xtraordinary. And among us, we have a combined total of over 30 years teaching experience. We've taught different ages and subjects and have worked in classrooms alongside school leaders. And now we're all at ed.Xtraordinary with a mission to continue to make things better by connecting, creating, and sharing towards the future of learning. So, what's exciting about this portrait work for you?
I think what excites me really is this. It seems like we're putting an onus on creativity and individuality, but at the same time, using our talents to be collaborative in order to move everyone forward. And so that really sparks a hope in me that this might be something that benefits us all.
I'm just excited to be able to hear from so many different voices. I think sometimes we think we have a lot of things not in common, that we see the world differently. And I'm also very interested to see the ways in which we have a lot in common, and that there's a lot that really binds us around our common values, around the things that we care about, especially when we think about what we want for our young people.
And I think that brings up great questions. What do we want for our young people? What do we want them to know and to do? Who do we want them to be? And who do we need to be as learners across our lives in order to thrive? As we prepared to take the concepts of that convening to a virtual conversation across the state, we thought about how to capture the insights and revelations and share the flavor of those experiences with you. We wanted you to be excited to participate in the portrait survey, to offer your insights about what is important. So we hope that you'll do that tonight. And once you've completed, pass it on to friends, young people, or voices that you believe need to be included. We spoke with our state superintendent of public instruction, Joan Ebert, and the superintendent believes the time to reimagine our approach to learning is now. And she spoke with Janine a little bit about that. Let's listen.
I took away from the 2 days with hundreds of people that our community is ready. And they're beyond ready. They almost are like, what's taking you so long? This is really what we want. We want our students to be able to have durable skills. We want our students and our parents at the table making decisions on what is best for their learning and their learning environment. Still remember the one young lady who stood up, 8th grader, and it was the end of the first day, and she just spoke with such eloquence of how excited she was to hear the adults in the room talk about her learning and how everyone wants to make sure that she's successful and that her voice is heard. I think she got I do know she got a standing ovation for her words and sharing out. And so those 2 days were just the beginning of where we are headed as a state and how we are going to lead this nation in thinking differently about what our students know, what they're able to do, the skills that they take with them outside of a K-12 learning environment and on into adulthood.
What are you most interested? We're going to be able to talk. We're talking with Nevadans as we move towards building a draft portrait. And then for the better part of this work from January to June, we're going to be engaging in conversations to really respond to that draft, to really make sure that we can get it right. What are you hoping to learn from the conversations with so many different Nevadans as we move ahead?
Our Nevadans are innovative. We've always been resilient in the work that we do. And at this moment in time, when we come together and truly listen to each other, during the convening, the 2 days, we spoke a lot about communication and two-way communication, critical thinking, the resilience that needs to show up for our students in this work.
I really appreciate the superintendent's willingness to lean in as a state system and create the space for a real conversation with people in different communities and diverse experiences. Mike, I'm going to toss it to you and just ask what you think about the superintendent's comments.
Really struck with the superintendent's sentiments about the time being right now. I think the environment, the desires of our communities and plurality kind of are leading us toward this goal, this portrait, this reimagining of what Nevada could look like in decades to come. And so I applaud our superintendent for leading us in this direction.
Yes, I think one of the things I've learned working with educators in schools, young people, and community members is that we agree on far more than we disagree on. And nearly every conversation I've had has led me to believe that having this conversation right now about how we can truly prepare young people for the future is critical.
You'll also meet National Learner-Centered Education experts Dr. Pam Moran and Ira Sokol. Their creative leadership in Virginia demonstrates what's possible when communities come together around the power of a portrait and align what young people are given to do with the things they are asked to know. Pam talks about what learning changes can actually happen for young people when a portrait exists.
All over the country, people had started to really think about what it looked like to set standards for young people. So in Nevada, whether you were growing up in Elko or Clark or Washoe, that there were common sets of standards that would say, these are what we believe the young people of Nevada need to really know in order to be successful at learning what we adults in Nevada believe is important. The same thing happened in Virginia, it happened in Utah, it happened in Vermont. It was going on all over the country. And then we had this thing called the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001, which really set in motion some high levels of accountability for every state. I was a superintendent who came back from an Apple executive conference, and he walked into our cabinet meeting on a Monday morning and kind of pounded his hand on the desk and said, I want every student in Albemarle County to be able to make an iMovie. And we're all looking at each other going, what's an iMovie? But when we started to unpack what he was really talking about, what he was really trying to communicate is we do not want to become a test prep machine in our schools where the only thing that we're worried about is whether our kids are going to pass a test or not. We really want our kids to be successful on multiple measures, but we do not want to neglect that our kids need to learn to analyze, to evaluate, to synthesize, to apply knowledge, and be able to develop competencies, whether it's the kind of life skills that really lead kids to be, to lead healthy and fit lifestyles when they graduate. So thinking about the physical domains of learning where people become healthy individuals and sustain that for a lifetime, or whether it's kids graduating with the capability to plan and conduct research And one of the things that we started to do was to work with our teachers and to get them to really test bed how would we build out units that really get at higher levels of work, deeper learning, if you want to use one of the terms of today, that really take kids beyond just learning what they need to pass a state test. What we really went after was bringing teachers together. They built some units, piloted units, came together after a year of really hard work and said, here are 12 ways that our kids were learning competencies that are incredibly important for them to be successful in school, as well as after they leave school to be successful in the workforce as citizens and in their communities and in their homes. And so we went after that. And one of the things that started to emerge is that when you start to think about whether it's through that competency lens or that portrait of a Nevada learner lens, that when people start to really wrap around that, they start to ask questions about how do we spend our resources, our budget? How do we really make sure that our teachers are getting the professional learning opportunities they need to be able to teach in ways that are deep and really take kids beyond just learning the basics, but to really go to those higher levels of learning? How is it that we really think about what we're going to assess? How do we really create assessments in our local divisions or districts, as it is in Nevada, that will really show our parents what our kids are learning to do, not just what they know? So all of a sudden, each piece of the puzzle of what happens inside the system starts to align.
I've been a very vocal proponent in terms of students or learners or all levels of the education process being creators of things, creating tangible products, being asked to utilize their knowledge in ways that can be seen and felt and demonstrated. And so I think the portrait definitely lends itself to that kind of thought.
I also heard Pam speak earlier in the conversation about how a portrait can really become the thing that focuses all of the decisions that are made in the organization, from professional development to how we utilize time and budgets, and that having that kind of clarity about learning feels important to the community, but also it's really necessary in being strategic and having that sense of coherence in the system so that all decisions are really being made towards that same end goal.
I couldn't agree more, Andy. And the conversation I had with a young person in our state, Jordy Cruz, really impressed upon me that the portrait has to, as Pam and Ira talked about, really change the experiences that young people have in school. Jordy is a high school sophomore in the Clark County School District, and we've pulled 2 quick snippets that address relationships and learning by building that feel important to this broader conversation. Let's jump in. I want you to think about 1 or 2 skills. So like, not necessarily academic skills, but like skills that are really help you, that help, 1 or 2 skills that really help you succeed in your life right now? Like, what are things that like make you better at anything you're doing?
Communication, because it goes well when I'm cutting hair, because I like having convos with my clients, building up clientele.
Okay.
And second, building relationships, which is also a part of clientele. Because once you build relationships, they could connect you with others, which gives you better opportunities. I learn best from building things, because there could always be an error. You fix it and you learn from it.
I had the chance to talk with Jordy before our call just to get to know him, and I wish I could have captured that informal conversation and infused it with a recorded one. He had such a clear sense of what he wants to do in the world when he graduates. He wants to be a barber. When I think of some of the experiences that Jordy might find value in high school to prepare him for his future, there's some things he's just not yet being exposed to that could really engage him.
In reflecting on Jordy's words, one of the things that I think we need to contemplate is how is school really preparing students for the careers that they would like, regardless of whether it's a college career that's going to require you going to college, or whether it's a trade that you can pick up. And what how does especially our secondary schools, how do those reflect more of the skills, the traits, the ideas that a entrepreneur might need to be able to develop in order to be successful? So how is social media and graphic design, how are those things crafted? How is money management and, being able to, acquire funding for ideas? How's that, encouraged in high school? How is just meaning making and relationship making in the Valley amongst different high school students, amongst small business owners, amongst large business owners, in order to get our students the context that they might need in order to be successful once they graduate from high school, graduate from college?
We've had individual and group conversations in different spaces with young people for months now. And something that I'm always struck by is how honest that young people can be, how honest they can be about what's working and what isn't working for them. When I was a teacher, I found that I could always figure out how to do something better if I just sat down and talked to my students. And I think it's important that in the convening in October, we prominently featured youth voice on both of the days of the convening, so that we're building in many more opportunities for young people to bring their diverse experiences and weigh in on this work. There's a lot that we can learn when we center all of those experiences.
Yes, we had the opportunity to bring together another group of Nevadans who had never actually been in conversation with each other for today's call. We spoke with Felicia Ortiz, a local business owner and the president of the State Board of Education, alongside Jamie Frey, who is a parent and nurse in Fallon, Nevada, alongside Connie Hall, a kindergarten teacher in Washoe County, who happens to also be the State Teacher of the Year. One of the most interesting parts of the conversation for me was reflecting on the durable skills that have mattered to them most in their lives so that they could succeed. Let's listen.
I wrote 2 down from that wheel, and actually one of them was growth mindset as well, Connie. And one of the things in my adult life that comes to my mind is, I think it's a quote of some sort: if you always do the same thing, you're always going to get the same result. So there's just so many different ways to think and grow, whether it's I'm trying to focus on my home life right now is what I'm saying, and the farm. If we've tried to do a lot of regenerative ag more recently, and it's a whole different mindset, and I'm excited about it to grow and do things in a different way. Also mindfulness, which is another one on that wheel that caught my eye. I'm a mom, and I try to just really focus on listening to what my kids are trying to tell me and focus on what they're saying, and really listen to them and being mindful of what's going on around me, because it's so easy to get caught up in what you're doing every day and cooking dinner and doing laundry and doing all the other things, but to really be mindful of what our kids are telling us. And then the next one, also in your work life, and the 2 I wrote down for me being a nurse, the 2 that caught my eye was critical thinking and communication. Those are 2 critical things that I think in any career, communication is key, and feels good to critical think, to use our minds and use them in a good way.
Yes, what are the durable skills that have been most successful to you in your work and life? That is such an important question that's going to inform how we draft our portrait of a learner in Nevada. So if you have the time, please take a few quick moments to take the survey and share your feedback with us, and then share the survey with somebody else in your community.
Absolutely. Nevada, it's been fun coming together again, and this is just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, we'll continue to keep the survey live and begin analyzing responses to build a draft portrait of a Nevada learner. In the new year, we'll be taking the draft around for continued conversations across our state with young people, educators, school leaders, parents, and families, community and business organizations to respond to that draft. You'll help us figure out where it's right, what's missing, what's significant, and we'll evolve it together. You can stay updated on the process, access tools to host your own conversations, and share the results with us, and follow along with the monthly virtual talks about the portrait at portrait.nvfutureoflearning.org. Again, that's portrait.nvfutureoflearning.org. Thanks so much. It's been wonderful being with you.